with this plan, which is every time we lose an election, racism has to be involved.
That's not what I just said. I literally gave you a full picture.
Yeah,
I gave you a full picture. And what I'm also, do understand that black folk, particularly black women, have to run twice as fast as you do to achieve the same goal. And if you do not understand,
I disagree with that.
You can.
I disagree with that
but
completely.
you can, and I'm just telling you that that is the experience. Whether or not
so the same white guy, Joe Biden, says I would have won. Like you were one and the same person here. Like if you're going to blame racism, it's absurd. My point is the idea that she lost because of racism is absurd. She lost.
As a woman of color, I am telling you that it is incredibly ridiculous for you, with the privilege that being a white male gives you in this country, to say that there wasn't some element of racism
I think it was
and
terrible
sexism.
policy, but I think
you think reporting can never be wrong?
You
come on here and you attack reporting every night.
I do not.
We actually asked him if he tells many lies. I don't think he's done.
Come on.
Wait. No, you know why you don't get to laugh like that? Because you support a guy who lies every freaking day and lies continuously. You support a guy who cannot acknowledge that he lost the 2020 election.
Hello everybody. Guys, let's get right into this panel. And I'm warning you ahead of time, this was an extremely frustrating panel to watch. Incredible. Check this out and we'll talk about it.
Tonight, pointing fingers, Joe Biden joined Anna and the women of The View today and gave his explanation for what went wrong in November.
So why do you think the vice president lost, and were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised, not because I didn't think the vice president was the most qualified person to be president, and she is. She's qualified to be president of the United States of America. Right. But I was surprised. I wasn't surprised because they went the route of the sexist route, the whole route. I mean, this is a woman, she's this, she's that. I mean, it really, I've never seen quite as successful and a consistent campaign undercutting the notion that a woman couldn't lead the country, and a woman of mixed race.
I've seen some criticism of that, saying that it's not the full picture.
I mean, I think there is a lot to do with that. I mean, I think anybody who says that that has absolutely nothing to do with it is just not being intellectually honest. Was that the whole reason? To your point, is that the full picture? Of course not. That's not the full picture. I think that there were economic headwinds against a Democrat being president of the United States. I think that there were immigration headwinds against a Democrat being president of the United States. And I also think that there were people who felt as if, and if this is the most amazing stat that came out of the most recent election. Are you better off 4 years ago? Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And the overwhelming majority of people answered that question no. Kamala Harris was more than qualified to be president of the United States. And I'm not sure that any Democrat, and I say this again, would have beaten Donald Trump in that race.
But why can't Joe Biden understand that? That it was immigration, the economy. Why? I mean, I thought that was, I thought that was one of the most striking things was his unwillingness to even acknowledge that maybe some of the issues had to do with it too.
No, if you watch the entire interview, he did acknowledge it, and he took responsibility. He said, look, I was in charge. So yeah, the buck stops with me. I was, it is my responsibility. I think part of what happened between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and this entire election is that there's a lot of affection and loyalty between the two. There was a lot of gossip for 4 years that they didn't like each other, that he was undercutting her, that she was unhappy. I think she couldn't distance herself from him out of loyalty. And I think today what you heard from him was a lot of deference and affection towards his vice president, a role that he played.
But let me ask you a question, though. He said he wasn't surprised that she lost, but that he would have won the race. That's like saying, well, I was a boat anchor on my vice president, so she drowned in this election. But the anchor itself would have floated. That's that is crazy talk for him to say that.
He did not say that he would have won the race.
He literally said,
he's like,
I wasn't surprised, but I would have won. The idea that he believes to this day. Let me take one more issue.
I mean, he not only said that.
I can't believe I'm agreeing with Scott, but he's right. He did say that. And of course, no one ever gets elected for just one reason. But to act like racism and sexism and that movement that's been moving forward inch by inch, week by week, had nothing to do with it, is effing ridiculous. We're going to get more into that.
He has said it repeatedly.
Hold
that he
on.
believes
Here's the
that
thing.
he
Wait.
Let's
go back to what you said about racism. Can we just take a moment and talk about a white guy saying that racism's white should win, and also the same white guy, Joe Biden, says I would have won. Like, you were one and the same person here. Like, if you're going to blame racism, it's absurd. My point is, the idea that she lost because of racism is absurd. She lost because the country was in a disastrous place, and they blamed him and his policies that she had to defend.
Can I tell you something?
And he's a white guy saying, as a white guy, he won and she didn't win.
You as a white guy have the privilege of saying that racism, and you as a white male.
I'm saying it's an incredibly
I am telling you right now.
statement as a white guy to sit there on stage and say, I would have won with the same policies that she ran on.
As a woman of color, I am telling you that it is incredibly ridiculous for you, with the privilege that being a white male gives you in this country, to say that there wasn't some element of racism
I think it was
and
terrible
sexism.
policies. But I think if you guys stick with this idea, hold on, if you stick with this plan, which is every time we lose an election, racism has to be involved.
That's not what I just said. I literally gave you a full picture.
Yeah,
I gave you a full picture. And what I'm also saying is that, yes, I believe Joe Biden saying he'd win the election is delusional, right? So I said that because I also said that there's a certain point. But let me also explain, with the equal level of delusion, you do understand that black folk, particularly black women, have to run twice as fast as you do to achieve the same goal. And if you do not understand...
I disagree with that.
You can.
I disagree with that
but you can. And I'm just telling you that is the experience, whether or not you're in politics or the business world or education.
Let me ask you this. Then why pull Joe Biden from the candidacy? If what you're saying is true, then he would have won overwhelmingly, because you're saying it was twice as hard for him to win.
Let me just actually ask you something, because
you're not making any sense.
No,
you just said that it's twice as hard for an African-American woman to win.
Given what you just said.
Hold on. This is so insane. First off, whenever they mention black women are the most educated group in this country. For him to say that there was no racism towards Kamala Harris, racism had nothing to do with this. And that black women, and when Bakari said black women have to work twice as hard to get to the same place, he didn't actually mean it as a number, twice as hard. For all I know, it could be 10 times. What he's saying is just, it's harder. It's a higher uphill climb. I've said the analogy that it's like a weight vest. Can you get up the hill? Yes, it's just harder with this weight vest called racism. And Kamala didn't run on race or being a woman or anything like that. It was Trump who used those things to try to act like it had nothing to do with that. He's trying to blur the lines and be like, well, it was about Kamala's policies. That, yes, the economy was having trouble, and that was part of the issue. But he's trying to ignore what Trump and his surrogates were saying. And they do this all the time. And Trump does this every time. We all knew when Kamala was going to be the nominee that he was going to be racist. We all knew this. And he was going to rile up his base using racism and misogyny. And sure enough, he did. He scares the crap out of people about particular races. And because like Republicans, they're so easily scared about everything, they believe it like the little lemmings they are. This is just absurd. We'll talk more.
If you believe that it would have been twice as hard for Kamala Harris to win, isn't it even more important for Joe Biden to have given her the ability to
I don't think that's a question. But that's not a question. And Anna brought up a good point, because out of all the people I said it's a good question. Yeah. I said out of all the people that are sitting around this table, I was actually a part of those discussions. And the person who did not want to distance himself because of loyalty, although she might not have had the loyalty given back from some of the women, particularly who were around Joe Biden, was Kamala Harris.
Yeah, but did Joe Biden say? But did Joe Biden ever say?
She did have it from Joe Biden.
Did Joe Biden ever say to her, you need to do exactly what you need to do to win this election? You need to pursue a policy that is what you need in order to win. So that's the answer.
I cannot let this go. I cannot let this go on this show in front of millions of Americans who will watch this, whether or not it's on Snapchat, TikTok, or Twitter. The point still remains, when we're talking about the issue of race and gender in this country, that everyone is not on equal playing fields. that the fact that, yes, we have a black woman, whether or not she is in academia, whether or not she's in business or in politics,
then are you going to run her again?
The field is not equal.
Candidate?
She's actually the best candidate for governor of the state of Georgia and whatever else she wants to do.
If she's so good, and it's only an issue of what you're saying.
I said California. What did I say?
Georgia.
Yeah,
okay.
Okay.
All right.
But
All right,
here's my
Scott.
question.
Hold on, Ben. Scott,
Can I
go
just
ahead.
raise one other sort of forward-looking issue? Watching him on The View today and watching some of the interviews he
Thank
did
you
over
for
the...
your viewership.
Yeah, I saw it. It's rare for me, but I did watch it.
That's what it is.
I will just say, watching him over the last few days reminded me that a whole bunch of people were telling us with a straight face that this man was capable of serving another 4 years as president. And that these appearances, coupled with what I understand is going to be the equivalent of a nuclear bomb dropped on the Democratic Party when Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's book come out next week, I don't know that the Democrats have fully internalized what's about to happen to them. Between what he looks like today and what they're about to report, get ready.
I am not sure that Joe Biden...
Hold up. I have to show you for the 10th time, because he didn't want to chime in there about race being an issue. When in this very show, Scott Jennings was one of those guys defending Trump's racism and threw a complete tantrum. Let's check this out right now.
It was amplifying a conspiracy theory that I think you would agree puts a target on the backs of Haitian immigrants and that it is based on racism. Would you agree on that?
Anti-black racism will be more pointed.
Do you think that if there were 20,000 Scandinavians that had been sent to Springfield, people would be saying that they're eating cats and dogs and geese?
I'm not going to answer for
Why
him,
not?
for his memes or anything else. But I am
No, but I'm asking you,
but
do you think that conspiracy is based on racism?
Because
I mean, it's an
because
easy
I'm
yes
not going to answer. I don't know. I don't know.
That was a long pause, Scott. I mean,
because I don't know the answer, and I'm not going to sit here and answer for somebody. I don't talk to Donald Trump about what the motivations are, and I don't answer to you either.
But Scott, what is the answer for you?
But the bottom line is,
I really wish CNN would do stuff like that and just show a clip of Scott Jennings doing that very thing and couldn't answer the question to see if racism had anything to do with the campaign. It's just an effing lie to say it had nothing to do with it. Of course, there was other issues. Like Kamala Harris had 100 days, guys. She was inches from winning. Biden didn't give her enough time. He should have got out earlier. And then, yeah, we could have had a primary if there was enough time earlier. Like, and by the way, look at what she did in those 100 days and look what Trump's done in these 100 days. The economy is completely effed because of this idiot. And she called that right on the money, but she was a DEI pick, right?
And fully realizes even his own deficits in this moment, Anna. I think seriously, he seems to not. He was asked about it directly, and he doesn't seem to get it at all, which is part of the problem.
Well, look, Abby, I don't know many elected officials in any party who willingly walk away from their elected office, right? I think it's hard for everybody. Look, I think this was very hard for Joe Biden, and I think he took responsibility for that. He did not say what you just said, Scott, that he said. You said that he told Kamala Harris that she could not have any distance from him.
It's been reported. He told
it doesn't
her
matter
point
what he
blank.
was.
He told her point blank, no daylight, kid, no daylight.
Because reporting can never be wrong?
Are you attacking the journalism around it?
Got him.
You think reporting can never be wrong?
If you want to be anti-journalism, I'll be
you come on
pro-journalism.
here and you attack reporting every night.
I do not.
We actually asked him the question
There's critical
directly.
reporting about this guy, and he told her point blank, no daylight.
We asked him directly today.
Right.
Did you tell her that?
You think he's ever told a lie?
I don't think he tells many lies.
Cognitive decline, I can tell you that much.
I don't think he tells many lies. I don't think he's done.
Come on.
Well, wait. No, you know why you don't get to laugh like that? Because you support a guy who lies every freaking day and lies continuously. You support a guy who cannot acknowledge that he lost the 2020 election and that lies about it.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's in Jake. Have you read it? Have you read it?
And guys, I think it's over now, but I think it was strategic that Scott Jennings didn't mention anything about racism on this campaign because of that clip. He knows he was one of the surrogates. This was one of the main things. Other than racism against black people, this, DEI that, which we all know how they were using it. They were using it as a way to use the N-word. It's just absurd. Do we not remember Trump calling her not black? How she slept her way to the top? Constantly calling her incompetent, dumb as a rock, a DI candidate. No, there's no such thing as racism against black women, right? Black women are the most educated group. I'm going to say this for the 100th time. The most educated group in this country. Look it up. And the least paid. You tell me why the F that happens. How the hell does that happen? It's about merit, right? It's all about meritocracy. And if there's all this DI going on, why aren't they the most paid right now? This is such nonsense. And then these things that were being said by these pundits and the supporters and on YouTube, it was just vicious. It was just all sexist stuff and race stuff. Saying that the White House is going to smell like curry. Like, just stupid things. And I want to make this connection. How about Trump saying that, this was all during just a campaign, saying that the immigrants' jobs, we're going to deport all these immigrants because those jobs are actually black jobs. I would love to ask Dumbo there, sitting across from Scott Jennings, what do you think he meant by that? Racism had nothing to do with it, right? What do you think he meant by that? Why is the most educated group in the country, these so-called black jobs are illegal immigrants' jobs? Seriously? The jobs that obviously require, for the most part, probably no English? Like, are you kidding me? The lowest paid jobs, the most arduous, but the most educated group in the country, those are their jobs? What the F do you think he meant by that? And I know this is a long spiel, but I just have a couple thoughts about this. And keep in mind, this is only during the election run. How about Obama's birth certificate crap, telling 4 women of color to go back to their country? How about the Central Park 5? Like, this stuff just goes on and on. It's literally his go-to move. I would say, other than COVID, this is one of the reasons that he lost to Biden. It's because he just couldn't use that against him. And this stuff with the immigrants. How about immigrants are vermin, poisoning the blood of the nation? Like, straight up Nazi Hitler stuff. And guys, I forgot that he said that immigrants were genetically, I've looked this up because I forgot of some of these disgusting things he said, were genetically predisposed to commit crimes, calling them animals and the most violent people on earth. Racism had nothing to do with this campaign. It had nothing to do with why she won. And again, I tell you this, the stuff about immigration, even though this has to do with Kamala, because of the parallels that Trump and their supporters, how they use racism against black people and immigration just melded into one disgusting beast. Trump would connect Kamala to this by saying she's allowing this. She's allowing these violent immigrants, these animals. Like if it was some conspiracy she was doing, trying to control I don't know what the hell. And again, during this, while he's doing this, he's essentially using the N-word to describe her. DEI this, DEI nominee. Calling it anti-white. Like, it's a way to combine the issue with both, right? Have an issue. He's essentially telling his voters, it's not only the immigrants that are the issue, these Hispanic, these brown people, but look at these black people. And being anti-white because of DEI this. And look who represents DEI more than anyone, Kamala Harris. This is what he was saying. This was his main talk. And I know I'm ranting here, but this is just insane to me. These racist pieces of garbage. And they don't attack just one group. And sadly, Hispanic Trump supporters can't knock it through their dense head. They haven't been able to figure this out. As an Hispanic, I'm saying this. If you're racist against black people, you are extremely likely to not like Hispanics, Arabs, or anyone else that's different from you or that you've been tricked to hate. Hispanic Republican voters out there. You are seen as a useful idiot, I promise you that, to the Republican Party. There's a reason why 80% of their voters are white. They're not trying to have your back. Do you think a party with that kind of allocation, sending our people to countries we aren't even from, with no due process if we're an American citizen or not, putting us in brutal prisons, shaving our heads and humiliating us, you think those people have our backs or have our best interests? Like, wake the F up. But anyways, I've talked enough on this. Let me know what you think in the comments about all this. Please like, subscribe. It really helps. The channel really helps get the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.